In a moment, you will hear gunshots. That's the sound of 3 gangsters attempting to kill a rival.
It sure is. And hey, let's give this attempted murder case a closer look. Now, nobody could have guessed back in 2006 that the man who coordinated, shall we say, the biggest armed robbery in British history, which unravelled in Kent, South East England, in the said year, would end up getting a bullet in the neck in Woodford Green, East London, on the night of July the 11th, 2019, as he stood in the kitchen of his £1.2 million home that he was renting from comedian Russell Kane himself. Or that the same bullet would sever the man's spinal cord, leaving him paralysed from the chest down. And I'm getting fucking Kyle Clifford vibes here, personally. But as for why 36-year-old Louis Ahearne, his big brother Stewart Ahearne, aged 46, and Daniel Kelly, also 46, fired 6 shots from their 9mm Glock handgun at former cage fighter and ex-armed robber Paul Allen through the man's kitchen window on the said date, nobody can say. In court, on the matter of their motive, the 3 brazen career criminals who, before their attempt on Mr. Allen's life, were already wanted for their £2.7 million burglary of a Swiss museum, and who, the very day before they tried to kill Mr. Allen, burgled a property in a gated community in Kent, were silent. Now viewer, if I've got you hooked on the story so far, do subscribe, give the video a like, drop a comment when you're ready, and donate. Hit the thanks button below, I'll appreciate you. The Securitas depot burglary, which took place on the 21st, or was it the 22nd of February 2006 in Tonbridge in Kent, and in which 56 million quid was stolen, about 35 million of which having never been recovered, led to the conviction of 8 men, including Paul Allen, aged 46 or 47 at the time of this recording, who, between them, got over 100 years inside. Notwithstanding, not only were neither the Ahearnes nor Daniel Kelly involved in that heist, none of the 8 who got caught first grasped on the others. Mr. Allen himself didn't get caught until 2009, but only ended up doing 6 years of his 18-year sentence, his release coming in 2016. And on the point of the missing millions that he and others stole, how do we reckon he was paying for his luxury East London rental home then? But yet, even though it doesn't look by any means as if the attempt on Mr. Allen's life had anything to do with the Securitas heist, a target Mr. Allen no less clearly was. And the men who came for Mr. Allen weren't reckless or impulsive, they were cold, disciplined and deeply embedded in organised crime. Daniel Kelly was a career criminal known for his reach beyond UK borders. Stewart and Louis Ahearne, brothers from South East London, had long been operating in the shadows. Weeks before the shooting, the trio had already proven what they were capable of. On the night of the 1st of June 2019, the trio broke into the Museum of Far Eastern Art in Geneva, Switzerland. Wearing gloves, masks and forehead lamps, they used an ankle grinder, a crowbar and a sledgehammer to force the museum's doors. Once inside, they headed straight for a display labelled Room 3, which held some of the museum's most valuable artefacts. In under 5 minutes, they had smashed open display case 13 and escaped with 3 rare Ming Dynasty porcelain pieces, a delicate phoenix design bowl from the 14th century, a tiny chicken cup from the 15th century, and a pomegranate decorated bottle valued at nearly 2 million alone. In total, the haul was worth over 2.7 million quid. 2 weeks later, the group flew to Hong Kong in an attempt to sell the Phoenix Bowl at an auction house, but failed. Then, in London in October 2020, Stewart Ahearne was arrested during a sting operation at a central London hotel where he was trying to sell the stolen vase to an undercover police officer posing as a buyer. The police officer having posed as a buyer, that is, not Stewart, funnily enough. A subsequent search of Stewart Ahearne's home uncovered a fake passport in Stewart's name and a book on Ming Dynasty antiques. Both Ahearnes were subsequently extradited to Switzerland, convicted of aggravated theft, but then later returned to the UK to face far more serious charges, whose exact name I reckon you can guess. Before then, though, of course, on the 10th of July 2019, the night before their attempt on Mr. Allen's life, the three men went to a property in a gated community in Sevenoaks in Kent, fitted their Renault Captur hire car with a flashing blue light, presented themselves to the residents of the property in question as police officers, and, having duly been allowed into the property, stole handbags, designer bags and a quantity of cash. As regards the gang's murderous plans for Mr. Allen, their motive for which, to reiterate it, being a mystery to this very day, the men had long since planted none other than a GPS tracker on Allen's car, a black Mercedes, and synced it to an iPad. Every trip, every stop, every return home that their target made was logged on that iPad. When the man was inside, when he was alone, when he was out and how long he stayed out were all activities of his that were being monitored in real time without his even suspecting. That same iPad was later found at the bottom of the Thames and duly became a silent witness in court, a digital roadmap to a planned assassination. On the night of the 11th of July 2019, the trio left their home turf in Woolwich, south-east London, and crossed the city under the cover of darkness. Their route took them through the Blackwall Tunnel, cutting north towards Woodford Green. It was a calculated journey, one that they'd made before, during their surveillance runs. Stewart Ahearne parked the car on Worcester Avenue, just behind Mr. Allen's home. While he stayed behind the wheel, acting as lookout and getaway driver, Daniel Kelly and Louis Ahearne slipped through a neighbouring garden. From this vantage point, they had a clear view of Paul Allen's back garden and, crucially, of his kitchen. Just after 11:09 p.m, they fired 6 rounds from their Glock handgun through the glass doors and windows of the kitchen. Allen had been standing in the kitchen. Of the 2 bullets that actually hit him, one caught his hand while the other sank into his neck and lodged itself near his spinal cord. As the man collapsed on the floor, Kelly and Louis quietly eased their way back through the garden before getting back into the waiting car, which soon had them well clear of the crime scene. Legend has it that the 6 gunshots coming from the Glock handgun were heard by pretty much the whole of Woodford Green. The police were, in fact, called by several local residents. In hospital, doctors were able to save Mr. Allen's life, but couldn't do the same for his spinal cord. The once massively feared cage fighter, who'd helped pull off the biggest cash robbery in British history, was now paralysed from the chest down and confined, as such, to a wheelchair. Let's keep in mind, though, that the Ahearne brothers, along with Daniel Kelly, wanted the man dead, and that is what they had tried to do. In this respect, Mr. Allen is, arguably, a very lucky man. When, on the 24th of March 2025 at the Old Bailey in London, Louis Ahearne, Stewart Ahearne and Daniel Kelly were all found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, Stewart Ahearne called out, somewhat bizarrely, to the jury, "You're only human. That is all I have to say about that." At the time of this recording, the 3 men were set to be sentenced on the 25th of April 2025. Reminds me of the sending down of either the Richardsons or the Krays, 2 sets of rival London gangsters from the 60s, in case you don't know, where the judge declared that society had earned a break from the offending of those vicious antagonists. If this video has gripped you, I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.